Let's get it. Call me Joseph, because I'm stalling hard, you know what I mean? I'm so bad at Spiral. Even through like no FFM, like you'd think I'd be okay, because it's the same thing. I'm still so bad at it. Although I will say I did do a couple timed runs through Spiral last night. And oh my god. I almost golded on just like my first one. Okay. Oh, don't do that. Okay. I would have golded too if I got bottle skip, but I fucked up like pretty badly earlier on. And I only missed about like a second. Wow. That's what my PB and no FFM had though, at a 216. That'd be Minecraft, oh god. Hopefully audio hopefully audio sounds fine. Aside from my fucking cracking voice. It's time for some exposure. I'm live! Look at that. What's up, Aaron? Thanks for the good luck. Appreciate it. I don't know why I zoomed out there. Trying to figure out like what cameras I like. I'm sure there's like optimal stuff, but I tend to prefer the wide camera. Oh god, what was that? Yeah, you're right. I don't need to know what I'm doing, and I don't, so. What's up, Snopey? It is I, Dino Slayer. That is what everyone calls me who doesn't know me, because they can't read G's, apparently. Okay. That's true, Larry's gonna stream the next day or two as well. Bro. Okay. I didn't get the jump off. Queen Snopia. I think that's what I called you first. That's how I read it. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. Okay, dude. I don't know how to do. I'm so bad at that. I'm actually not that bad at this, but I've never messed that up that bad. I'm just like jumping around. Back in the day. Normally I do the fucking actual strat where you shoot from there, but... Yeah, I think... Didn't Snopey take this screenshot, I think? Of the split background? Oh, the fuck? Yeah, you want the consistency, yeah. I take the single R where I can... Bro! Oh my god. I take the single R where I can get it, but, I'm gonna... fuck, I'm gonna die, Mumbo. Don't go, don't go. This fucking notes, dude. Game's being stinky, sounds about right. That was good movement. I'm usually not very consistent with that. I'm glad I got that right there though. And I got the fucking drop talent. Hello? Aren't you rolled one? Yeah, true. I don't know, I mean, yeah, it's just boring, but it's like, it's grown on me more, I appreciate it more, I guess, I don't know, it's like, easy, I feel like. It's like a break from like hard shit, aside from like a few things, I guess. Richard World 2 is fun though, unless you have a bad patch and then you just want to end it all. Thanks, Connor. Certainly what this is. Oh yeah, that trailer's sick as me. I watched it twice. I watched it at work, like right after it dropped, and then Larry hadn't watched it yet, so we watched it like an hour ago, right before stream. Where was my peck? Me too, Connor. I never played Breath of the Wild. Oh. Okay. I guess I got that text out of the way. I want to do TCC early, but it's so stupid for me to do it. I'm definitely not consistent enough at it to do it. I could get it first try, or I could fail it 5 times, or more. Yeah, true. It's like, you're gonna get it anyway, may as well just, surprise yourself. I shockingly had, like, quite a bit of muscle memory from, when I ran no FFM. For, like, the things that are similar. And I guess, I mean, 80%, some of the 80% stuff is similar, but not most of it. And then shockingly, I also forgot how to do so much shit. Fucking vortex boxes. Oh, it's still on sale? Are you gonna get it after you get paid tomorrow? I wasn't sure how the third one was gonna go, but it worked out well. It was a little laggier, but that was clean. I'm very happy with that ladder section, or stair section. Fuck. Oh, okay. What a waste of feathers. I've never missed him like that. Where are you? You little shit. Oh no, come back! This was like relatively solid up until now. Fine, just get up here. I'm already quite low on feathers, at least compared to where I want to be. I don't know what optimal shit is, but... You do want some clothes, too. Don't touch me. Oh, that's... that's one way to do that, I guess. I didn't take any fucking damage. I mean, I guess that's safe. But... might have to take a lot of damage at the end, I don't know. Hello? Bro? I also... hope I get enough tokens. I typically grab, like, almost all of them, because I don't actually really know. I'm gonna kill these guys and get health just to be safe. I'm glad I didn't, fucking take damage earlier on the fucking thing, man. The only thing I'm really, really bad at in this level is, the Jinjo Beak Bomb. What? Hello? Bro, I'm not bad at this. Hello? Jesus Christ. Wait, where am I? Where am I? Is this it? Where the fuck do I stand? It's like right here. The spot didn't look the same. Nice. Okay. That's fucking way far away, but might still work. Actually, this might be easier. Yeah, that was actually easier. I've never successfully done that whole thing in succession, so I'm happy with that. That's fine. It's hard to read. I'm not used to reading Chow. This is so fucking fast-paced compared to like 2E, so sorry if I'm missing like a lot. Get down. I'm gonna take like fucking 3 or 4 health here now. He wanted to. So Storm. Yeah, it may as well be playing this game again. What's up, Saucy FN? Thank you for the good luck. Appreciate it. 1915. Wow, that's fucking trash. Saucy FFM. That's what it should be. Not doing CCW early. Hello. Oh. Oh my god. My finger like twitched when I hit the A button, so I did a short hop. Yikes. Now the bubble section, I'm Pepega, so I don't really... I don't think I do anything close to what you're supposed to fucking do down here. Especially because I do like the fast shit at the beginning, assuming I get it. Where are you going? I go like all the way back here to get a bubble, because I also don't. Actually, I should get another one, because I never trust myself. I don't know what the threshold is. I'm gonna miss that cycle. Oh fuck, I could have actually gotten close at least. Oh. I should look at like how you're supposed to do this, like when you should dive and shit. 'Cause I actually don't know, like optimal movement there. Bro. Get up! Just gonna go straight up here. Okay, I guess not. Okay. I fucked up my camera. I can never get up there from the corner. I don't know how to do it, I guess. I also don't know what routes get that token, but I'm terrified of not having enough, so I just get it. Always miss this last one. Why did I jump? Why did I jump? Why did I jump? Get up! I hate this angle that I was doing. Okay. Oh. I usually get the third text there. Oh. Get the jiggy. What did I get? I thought I didn't get those notes. What am I doing? Do I really have all the notes? 85? I don't know if that's right, actually. It probably is, but I just, like, I don't know why I would know. I swear I didn't get some notes on his back or something. Almost. Yeah, this should be right, because there's 7 in the tube, I think. Fuck you. Making him do all the emotes. Gritty on the corpses of your enemies. Oh. No. I didn't want to risk it. I got the clip first try, so I was just like, fuck it. I'm safely going so don't mess it up. Oh, hello? Should be fine, I think, right? I'm already out of my drink. I don't know. I mean, I suppose I would take another one. Oh, bro. Okay. Fuck you, dude. Oh, I forgot to, I meant to try that, the new strat. I haven't tried it yet, otherwise I would do it. I already know I'm gonna fucking need health, so I'm gonna get it. Okay. I'm just gonna do this the fucking baby way, I guess, because I messed that up. Get in here, please. Surprise me. Get one of the new ones. I don't like how little feathers I have. Oh, wait, where do I go up, don't I? Fuck, that's a different route. Wait, where do I go? Oh, I go to the pipe, don't I? Fuck. I was thinking of, what, is it 80% where you go to the, down to the tree? That was a weird camera. Hello? Grab? That's fine, I'm not in a rush. I can't drink it right now anyway. Am I supposed to be at 22 right there? Or am I stupid? Yep. I was almost not gonna make it. Save the feather. That's too low. Fuck. Nice. I think I took damage though. Did I take damage on that? Don't end up playing because of that. At least in 2 you can control it as long as you want. That's like a massive upgrade. Also, yeah, it is a skill issue, TBH. It's probably faster to get the other one first, but I don't know. Or get the honeycomb first before that other note? I don't remember. Time to fail boggy race. Yeah. I don't trust myself to get any of those things. Damn it, he didn't push me closer. Dude, nice. Thanks, Larry. Oh. Okay. No, no, dude. Wait, can I get up here from over here? I have no idea, actually. Oh, no. Wait, can I? Fuck, dude. I missed the note. Oh. I should not have taken damage there. Because I don't know how much damage this thing takes that I'm about to do. Yes, please. Okay, that's fine. I did that without taking damage. What'd you get? Nice. I thought you might pick that up. Yeah. It's so hot here. Nice camera.
That's really good.
Yeah. Wherever. Sure. Get the nut!
It's really good.
Oh my god, I hate this stuff so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I need help. Oh, I gotta talk to him, don't I? Fuck. Oh. First time. No, I've done it at least once. Oh, look, I grabbed it from the bottom. Optimal. Oh. Okay, I do love my notes. Bless you later. True. They do. Where am I? Oh no. Is this gonna work? Okay, this it's not gonna work! Oh no! I was there too! Knowing the spot is just the worst part. What's up, Hoagie Pops? I took 2 health too. Fuck! God damn it! Oh my god! Now I don't have enough health! Oh my god. There's only one over here. Can I make that? I hate this game so much. That was close. Ah, this is sad. With Christmas, me too. Crazy Easy Peak is my favorite holiday. It's my favorite part to go to. Where do I go? Is this it? It's like up. Bro, just... Okay. Wow, this is bad. True. There's Easy Peak. To do that next time. Oh, I pressed A. That is pretty good. What do you mean, what is this? It's a sick emote. I messed up? Where did I mess up? I must have gotten a 2-frame or something. Wish I would just get the other setup. Yeah, that's a scuff dash trick. Hello? Oh. I think the first one's gonna work. Fuck you. Fucking hate this pad. This pad is the worst, dude. What is zoom out? Surprised he hasn't aggroed me. He like always aggroes me there. I think it's kind of luck, like where they're at and stuff, so. Oh, no. I used to be really good at pots, actually. At least, like, decently good. That's actually the cleanest I've done it in, like, the entire time I've been playing this again, so. That was pretty good. The first one was like the only really bad one. I don't think you're supposed to skip that text. For whatever reason. I don't know. Fuck. Maybe. A sad ghost day. Fuck. I don't have the thing open. What? Oh. Looked at the wrong one. He's catching up to me. It's like a billion degrees in here. Holy shit. So I don't need that feather. Get out of here, dude. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, I thought that might take fall damage or something. Come here, bitch. If you don't mind, because I'm sweating my entire dick off. Yeah, I do need that. Oh, that's the first. I probably should zoom out the camera after I get the jiggy. I don't think I usually do it there. Just enough tokens. I don't want a jiggy when I get jiggy. When I get a jiggy, because then that would just be too fun. So fun. Ah. Blink 183. Nice. It's a good name. Fucking kill him. in game, obviously. Put a backpack on it. Ah! Split. Okay. I don't. Okay, I'm gonna lie. I don't know when you reset, so I'm gonna like be very safe about it, I guess. That's something I did not look into, actually. It's adults. That's right. You're lacking. Now we get to the fun stuff. I fucking despise gobies. I'm gonna die at least once. Oh, I was not even close. Thank you for the good luck. Yeah, I debated it for a really long time. And then I picked up the game and I was like, do I want to join? I just played some stuff and I was like, yeah, okay, I want to play. And then it was 15 minutes, or not even 15, it was like 3 minutes too late. I don't know how you're supposed to do that. I also haven't practiced gobies in a while. It's been several days. So I don't feel confident about this. Oh god. I'm not getting gobi clip, that's for sure. Holy shit. I'll try once. Nope, that's... Well, I signed up, like, what was supposed to be on time. And then they closed it early. So I was like, I would have been on time. And then the standard people were like, making it much more stupid than it was. Nice, I got it. Yeah, I'm not good at that shot. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. What's up, Teenard? How's it go? I am making a mistake. Getting all of these eggs. I'm gonna miss this for sure. Yeah. Okay, let me fix this real quick. Come on. A couple feathers just in case. Oh. Pretty low on eggs. I don't like that. Okay, I thought I was gonna land. Oh. I hate when that happens. I want that. Wait, I don't think that there. Fuck. No! Oh my god. Oof, I missed a note, I had to get it later, but I did not want to have to go back. It'll be faster to just go back for the note than to fucking redo the whole fucking maze. Why do I have an ad for Elon University? That's awesome, I love that. I don't even know what that is. Does he have a fucking... a shitty fake university or something? I want that egg. I need eggs. No, get out of Oh. Hello? I have... That's the worst I've ever done this. Oh, holy shit. Good lord. Awful. Awful quick dive. Usually I'm, like, scared to take damage or something. Where you at, homie? I should have pecked. Should have pecked out of it. Bro. Hello? Why can't I do this? Wait, how many? Is that enough? I think that's enough gold feathers. I don't know. I hope so. Oh, I'm gonna get helped. I guess I literally could have just gotten the waiting boots too, but... Now I need to take damage. Oh. That was scuffed. But I didn't die. Ugh. Are you home? What did I say? I don't remember. Oh, where you at, homie? Okay. Were you a homie? I think you're just supposed to roll and flutter there. I don't really remember. No, I want the other one. My eyes watering and I don't like it. I don't remember how to do this. That's one way. Give me the eggs. Give me the eggs. No. That was a quick clip. Oh. That's not good. Get it, 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 get it. I wanted to be safe that I was getting my fucking health refill. Fuck. Bro? Hello? Can I not get this now? What is this? That's never happened to me. I've never had that happen. Usually I'm like really good at the skip. I haven't practiced it though, so that's unfortunate. Oh, I'm literally not supposed to be in Talent Shop, bro. What the fuck? I'm gonna die. I'm go-go. I'm gonna die. Oh! I thought it was a different crate. I have one piece. Ah! Nice frame, perfect. I thought it was the crate where you just get the 4 notes. Did I miss a crate? Am I stupid? I definitely did. Oh, I didn't go in here. Yeah, that's why. That's why I was like, oh, what's... This is the wrong crate, right? What? Dirt bikes? Hell yeah, that's sick. Okay. Yes. Yeah, well, I'm glad I got it, because I would have fucking died if I did that. Holy shit. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Ah, where am I going? Rusty boob boob. No. Okay, this is fine actually. This is perfect. This is fine. Fuck off. I have to see a lot of damage now, but it's okay. I'd rather do that than fucking die. I haven't. I don't think I've ever done this right. I don't remember how to do it. 8 true signals is right. Gotta fucking... Gotta earn our living. Hope I got all the notes. I didn't actually. I don't remember hearing the thing. I think I did get the jingle. Yep, let's go. The fuck? Where am I not standing in the right spot? What is this? Definitely am. There we go. Let's... Bro. I've never gotten lost here. Bro, it's so hot. Oh my god. It's gotta be like 90. What's up, Rosanna? Thank you for the Prime. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Not even a quick dive. I know, I forget too. Gotta cool off with a fucking drink. Creaky from the gym. I feel that. I didn't run today or anything. I meant to. Well, I didn't have time to run. I meant to do something. I'm alright. Bro, get up! Just the normal things. Picked up Larold from... not technically from the flight home. From their brothers. There he is here. Piloted it back. You didn't tell me that. I was not gonna make it. Brothers never hurts. I wanted to kill him. Oh, I almost fell. Holy shit. I picked up the plane. That'd be crazy. Actually, I did go to the gym. Wait, where? This is the right way, right? Like, okay, yeah. Yeah, I did not do this right. I was supposed to jump off and talent trot. I don't remember where I need to stand for this. How do I fucking, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Jesus Christ. I don't remember where to stand for that. Get fucked. I want more health. Wait, do I have gold feathers? I hope I do. I have one. Am I gonna die? Let's see. That was crazy. Do not want to take any fucking fall damage. I'm gonna kill this guy actually, just so I have an extra health in case he does hit me. I know sometimes they can take 2 damage. And also he just like respawns sometimes. Kill him. If I'm supposed to get this, I'm getting it. Probably not, because I have 25. But... oh, fuck. Okay. I'm not used to doing it this way. I usually get the thing. That was really fucking close. Oh no, that's not good. I have not fallen from that, like... I don't know if I've ever fallen from that in runs. I haven't fallen from that since I've been practicing. That's sad. I don't know if it's technically faster to go this way or through the normal way up the tree, but I think this is faster if it's clean. Give me your health, boy. Oh, I'm so wet. Sorry if your pillow's sweaty, Larry. I'm fucking wet. Oh! Oh my god! Okay. I wanted that. How do I get out of here? I said I'm sorry if my, if your pillow's wet from my sweat. I'm probably missing something now, but, we're rolling with this. Oh wait, I need to get these, don't I? I guess I could have done this on the second. I don't have gold feathers. Fuck! I have to get a gold feather. Which I'll get right up here. Not up here. Not yet. Oh, I have to get 2 of them. Fuck, dude. I don't know where another one is. Oh wait, I think I get one in Naughty's house. Or maybe Naughty's house? I don't know. I don't know if there's one in here. I'm probably wrong, actually. Okay, yeah, there's not one in here. Nice aneurysm camera. Holy shit. I gotta find a gold feather somehow. Actually, I think there's one on this pile. Yes. That was close. I almost missed the first one. I'm gonna kill him. Just because. Fuck you. And I want more health, so I don't trust myself. What's up, Shane? Spoon and Smooch. How many? Oh, it's not gonna tell me how many caterpillars I have, is it? I don't know how many I have. I'm gonna get this gold feather though. And another caterpillar, because when I was practicing, I was missing a caterpillar. So, please pick up. No, I'll be good now because I have 9. Oh, no, I don't. What's up, PP Sack? Don't talk to me. No, don't talk to me. How's everyone been? Bro, okay, I fucking can't. Yep, okay. No longer Fortniting. That one was really good, Larry. I like that one a lot. The drink, I mean. I guess I realized I should have clarified. Yep, I definitely... I don't know where I missed one in practice, because I have 11 now. And I got an extra one on purpose, because I wasn't sure. It's only a little thing. Wait, where do I go? I go this way. Yeah. That sounds right. Hope this is right. I won. Oh. I'm also gonna get this. No, get it. Okay, dude, come on, camera. Hello? Did not do that the fast way, and I don't care. I still have so much left. Fuck, I thought that one was gonna work. Oh. Okay, I literally made it up there and jumped over it. Nice jump. Not what I wanted to do, but okay. Oh, I didn't get that one. Yeah, I need to get this nut. That would have been bad. Well, you wanna... Okay. Jump. Oh my god. Not as smooth as would have liked, but... So tired, yeah. I am also quite tired. Let's hope I don't get stuck in eye jail. Because every time I've gotten the jiggy in practice, I've gotten stuck in the jiggies. This is not it. Where is it? Oh, okay, I'm like, what the fuck? Nice. Hell yeah, dude, let's go. Now the worst part of the run's over. Alright, sounds good. Fuck. I can't get this movement down from the sarcophagus to the big ass fucking base. I also always fucking land in the water there. IJail was like the thing I was most worried about. Like, to an extent. Where do I go? This way, yeah. certainly have enough tokens. I'm gonna have to get hit by fire like 10 times though. Yeah, I fucking... I'm so bad at that. I don't even think I did it right. I'm out of eggs? Oh no. Am I schlongster? Look at that. Got on the fucking leaf cycle. Oh my god. Oh. Bro, come on. This is like the most fun movement in the game and I messed it up. I am taking on more health. Should be. So I'm gonna do this instead. I'm playing it safe. What's up, Brandino? Nice balls. Thanks for the GLs. Yeah, I'm having fun actually, surprisingly, with this game. It's no Tooie, but it'll do. I need that. I don't think I have gold feathers, do I? Oh, I do. I have plenty. Wow, I fucking used every single feather I had for that. I did want to get that. Some GDO. Some fucking stuff. I go up here now, don't I? Okay, I'm not gonna do hot jumps. Not good at them. I love mint chocolate chip. It's one of my top flavors. In and out. Yeah, I mean, I go through phases with it, but I've never been like, I don't really like it. Like, I would always accept it. But sometimes I'm feeling like more. I'm like a big chocolate person, so like, sometimes I'm just feeling like more like I have to have like a lot of chocolate or something. Okay. Green or white? I mean, green is like, it makes you feel like you're actually eating the mint, I guess. You know, it's just like the authenticity. You think of mints, you know, but I don't know. I guess I don't really have a preference. I think the green looks nice, I guess. That's my preference. Also, it's like, did not mean to zoom out. I wanted that. Give me that. Get me off of this pole, dude. Fuck you. Your very normal 4-hour nap. I love a good 4 hour. I haven't been able to take one. I guess a very long time. As long as you feel normal after, though, because sometimes you do that and it's like a fucking mistake. Fuck you. This motherfucker, get out of my face! I never do that, right? I wasn't really paying attention. Oh, I didn't want to talk to you again. All I did was walk. Oh, that one didn't hit? Come on. Fucking hate these hitboxes. Wait, what? I don't remember what the first one was. And I don't want to die. God damn it. I missed the... How did I miss the first one? This is crazy. Don't look at me. This is the hardest part. I've died here before. Bro, did I not do that the first time? I thought I started with that one the first time. Maybe I didn't. Oh, fuck. Don't look at me. What's up, Santino? Thank you for the follow. Oh, I still have to consume H2O from, Shane, I think it was. I have an opportunity. Bro, am I gonna die? Oh, fuck, maybe. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, I got the health refill. Okay. So I'm fine. I need that. I should just get these boots, actually. Just to be safe, I guess. I haven't been doing this in practice, I haven't been getting boots, but... Oh, holy shit. Here's sip waters. I'm gonna be mad when I forgot something, because I feel like this is going too well in terms of, like, I forgot something, because I haven't, as far as I know, forgotten it. Watch me lose round one. So I actually do kind of have to pick it up. Hello? That was kind of close. Fuck. Fuck! Don't do it! Fuck! Oh no. Get out of here, dude. What's up, Mama Llama? 'Tis I. We are almost done. I guess I don't need to go that way because I fucking got the Jiggy already on accident. Oh, wait, I don't know where. Oh. I will have to take several, unfortunately. Oh, get back here. Oh no, I have to take 5 health? May as well just fucking walk back. No, come on. No! Okay. Thanks, Larry. I'm very close to being done. Bro, get out of here. Copium. Beamo, thank you for the raid. Hope your stream went well. Welcome everyone. Here to witness my first FFM run. I have all the notes, so that's good. What's up, Ad? Thank you, appreciate it. I don't remember. Okay. My no FFM is 234. So yeah, this is like, this should PB hopefully. Thanks, Beamo. Oh. Yums and bum bums. Fucking hands are sweaty. What are my feathers at? 15? That's probably fine. I'm pretty good at the Grunty fight, but that doesn't necessarily mean it won't go poorly. What? That's bullshit. Those were fast beak bombs. Besides that one egg, this is pretty damn good. That one egg really fucked me up, though. It's not gonna work. Okay, that did work. Wow, that was pretty good. For me. Man, I wish I hadn't messed up that third egg shot. Egg cycle. I wanted a sub 230, I'm kinda pissed. Oh, bro! Homie's just stuck here. Man, 231. That was a decent Grunty. Oh, it was a 350. Oh, never mind. That's pretty bad. No, actually, that's only 5 seconds off my gold. Man, that would have golded if I didn't mess up that egg. And if I actually had a not shitty Jinjonator. Because I had a really fast beak bombs. And the Jinjo statues were clean. For the most part.